All right, let's get right into it. We're doing a critical briefing on this escalating crisis in the Middle East. In just a matter of days, the entire global economy has been thrown into complete chaos. So today, we're not just going to break down the impact, we're going to look at where the real opportunities are starting to pop up from all this turmoil. So we have to start at the absolute epicenter of the shock, right where a critical artery of the global economy has, well, it's been severed. We are talking about the Strait of Hormuz, which is, without a doubt, the world's most important choke point for energy. And just like that, 20%, nearly a fifth of the entire world's daily oil and gas supply that has to pass through that strait is gone. It's offline. Now look, this is not some minor disruption. This is a catastrophic supply shock that is instantly starving the global market of the energy it needs to function. To really get the real-world impact, let's bring this down to street level. Think about the paralysis hitting business owners right now. For an entrepreneur, let's call her Sarah, with a shipment of goods just sitting there, stuck in port, this conflict has a direct, and I mean devastating, financial consequence. Her entire business is literally at risk overnight. Okay, so how does one single choke point trigger a full-blown global system shock? Well, we're looking at data from some of the most trusted sources in the world, and what it shows is that this one event sent tremors across every single sector of the economy. The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, they immediately sounded the alarm on inflation, and the math in their analysis is, frankly, alarming. A 10% spike in energy costs is projected to fuel a 0.4% rise in global inflation. That might not sound like a lot, but it erases all the recent gains and puts central banks in an absolutely impossible position. And get this, within days, over 4,000 flights were just canceled at major hubs like Dubai and Doha because the airspace closed. This isn't just about your vacation plans. This is global air freight. The lifeblood of just-in-time supply chains grinding to a complete halt. And here you can see the direct cost. We're talking about a fire at Dubai's Jebel Ali port, one of the world's busiest, that just incinerated over $1 billion in cargo. These are real, physical, unrecoverable losses that are going to ripple through insurance markets and eventually the prices you pay. The view from space really confirms the crisis. The satellite data is stark. I mean, look at it. The world's energy superhighway is practically empty. There are hundreds of tankers just stranded out there, creating this massive floating traffic jam with billions of dollars of energy held completely hostage. So that's the initial explosion. Now we're seeing how those shocks are rippling out through the financial markets and our supply chains. And this is where the secondary impacts really begin to hit businesses that are thousands of miles away from the actual conflict zone. The first ripple, totally predictable. It was in the energy markets. Brent crude prices surged by over 15% almost overnight. So for any business out there with significant fuel or transportation costs, this is a direct hit right to your bottom line. Now, if you're an entrepreneur in the shipping business, this number is just staggering. The cost of simply insuring your cargo in the region skyrocketed by 300%. A price hike like that makes so many established trade routes completely unprofitable, forcing a desperate scramble for alternatives. And of course, that uncertainty, that fear, it spread to the stock markets like wildfire. It erased value and started fueling these very serious projections of a major global recession. Investors absolutely hate uncertainty, and this conflict just injected a massive dose of it into the entire global financial system. But here's the thing. Amid all this chaos, a massive reallocation of capital is starting, and that is creating clear winners. So let's break down the 3 sectors that are actually positioned to profit from this new reality. Because this right here, this is where the strategic opportunity lies. So while a lot of businesses are suffering, these 3 sectors are set up to benefit directly from the price shocks, the military escalation, and the supply chain mess. They are fundamentally aligned with the dynamics of this crisis, and this is exactly where the smart money is probably going to flow. This table really breaks it down nicely. First, energy. With all that Gulf supply offline, non-OPEC producers, think the Americas or key players in Southeast Asia, suddenly see the value of their product soar. Second, defense. Military escalation drives huge demand for weapons and security systems. It's pretty simple. And third, logistics. With major shipping routes blocked, companies that provide secure alternative routes and warehousing suddenly become absolutely invaluable. So, Section 5. Let's see how this smart money is reacting. You don't have to take my word for it. The world's largest asset managers are already deep in analysis on this shift. This isn't just a theory. We're talking about how billions of dollars are being repositioned in real time, which basically validates the exact pivot we've been talking about. BlackRock's analysis confirms this isn't some random market panic where everything just goes down. No, they see a structural shift. The key word they use here is dispersion, which is really just a fancy way of saying a great sorting is happening between winners and losers. For example, in energy, importers lose, but producers somewhere else win. So the ultimate takeaway from the big institutional investors is this. They are not just pulling their money out of the market indiscriminately. No way. They are repositioning for a new reality that's shaped by this geopolitical risk, and they're moving their capital toward those three sectors we just identified. And all of this brings us to the most important part of this entire explainer. What does this mean for your business and your strategic plan? How do you navigate this new and, let's face it, more dangerous world? You know, it's kind of crazy to think that just a few weeks ago, the IMF was projecting steady global growth. Well, this new supply shock, it threatens to upend all of those forecasts. The assumptions we all built our business plans on for this year are, well, they're pretty much obsolete now. And this is the point you have to get. The historical precedent for this level of disruption, it just doesn't exist. It has never been closed before. We are completely off the map, which is forcing every single business to create an entirely new playbook for resilience and, hopefully, for growth. So we're going to end with this thought. This crisis isn't just a headline. It's a stress test for your business. Do you have a plan B for logistics? Have you secured enough inventory to weather a long disruption? Is your cash flow protected? This is the moment to find out if your supply chain is resilient or if it's just fragile. So, what's next? I'd say go back and revisit that section on the crisis winners. Seriously, that intelligence isn't just interesting, it's a potential survival guide for the coming months. And hey, make sure you're subscribed because we're going to keep delivering these essential briefings.